Hey, so quick reminder, resist the urge to say, I told you so. And what did you think was going to happen? I mean, some people might need to hear it, but for the most part, other people are going to learn better if we show just a little bit of compassion, whether they deserve it or not, and let them figure it out for themselves. This is their fight. This is their shift in consciousness they've got to wrestle with. Um, and the last thing, remember Pluto in Aquarius. Power to the people, my friend, power to the people. And we're watching it. So, uh, cry if you need to, scream if you have to, just don't do it at other people, right? Get it out of your system, pull yourself together, and get back out there and get things handled. Okay? We're going to make it through this. We are going to make it through this. So remember, Pluto and Capricorn. So we've just left a Pluto and Capricorn era. And Pluto and Capricorn is that particular combination is all about big business and concentrations of power and the elites and elite classes and the divisions between us and them, you and I, right? And this goes all the way down to the micro level here at like around zero, where there's literally no class to differentiate with. What there's poor and more poor. So a really good example, right? Because it's in groups and out groups. A really good example, if you've ever been on Facebook, right, where intellects and middle-aged people go to die. Um, One of the things you may have noticed, especially in astrology groups, right? There has, for a long time, there's always been this push to differentiate themselves from those other astrologers. So you get always with these new groups starting up, there's always that handful of people that insist on making this about people who are acceptable to be in our, private secret ring and those who aren't. And what they do is they literally close off their groups and make them private because you have to be invitation only. You know, and the argument is, oh, well, it's those trolls and people are going to come in and harass us. No, that's not what it is. I mean, those people are everywhere. And listen, if you're involved in astrology, you have to expect this. Don't be a child about it. What it's really been about has been the Pluto and Capricorn energy, which is very much about class systems, differentiating between class, being better than other people, being part of the in group by creating an out group. Okay. And I'm not clearly I've got a lot of Uranus in my chart. So I have no taste for any of that. But we saw a lot of that with Pluto and Capricorn, and of course, big business and power. We saw that too. Remember in the '80s there was that movie with I don't remember the actor's name, Michael something. And it was about Wall Street. I think the movie was called Wall Street, and the movie coined the phrase "greed is good," which clearly it's not. Greed and selfishness will kill us all. So, as Pluto has left its um, journey through Capricorn and now entered Aquarius, this is absolutely about the very things that Capricorn energy is afraid of, right? Diversity, equality, humanity as a whole teeming spectrum and array of representations. The breakdown of divisions between upper and lower classes. There's no longer this tiny in group and this huge out group. So this whole elitist fantasy that somehow you're better than other people because you belong to the special club. It doesn't carry the water that it used to. And we're seeing it. What we're also seeing is that the conservatives, who seem to represent that mentality, at least until now, um, are still trying to wind the clock backward and take us back to this world where there was, the elite club, the special club, the special group that only we get to belong to. And you, maybe, if you remember, like literally, it's the country club mentality at every level of society and every level of work. Okay. Because you have to be very special to be here. So, they're trying to drag us back to what they remember worked for them, but, you can't stop the future. You can't stop change. It's going to happen whether you want it to or not. And what we're seeing with all these mass uprisings and protests from some of the most unexpected places, the Republicans, the Republican constituents who are now understanding the consequences of their choices, the karma of their choices and actions, Saturn and Pisces, not following the spiritual golden rule. They're absolutely doing these mass protests, which is good because they're the ones who need to stand up and make the shift in consciousness to see what's wrong with this. And it's absolutely Pluto and Aquarius. So all of this is to say, not that I'm gonna pat myself on the back and say, "Oh, I was so right." But this is to say, for those of you who do follow me, because there's a whole bunch of people that just don't have time for me because, 100 reasons, they're pretty obvious what those reasons are. But for those of you who follow me, one, thank you for your support. But the other thing too is remember, if I've been right about this, I'm probably right about the rest of this too, which means we're gonna get through this. We're gonna be okay. It's gonna be messy and ugly along the way because those old dinosaurs are panicking. They know they're facing extinction, and this is the last days. And when people panic, they do ugly things, right? Lots and lots of ugly, stupid things, which we're watching. So it won't be easy. Be prepared to stand together and be united in this fight, and to protect each other. But also understand that at the end of this is not the 1960s. Like, we have been through worse. Oh my God, we have been through so much worse. Okay, and we made it through. And this, while it looks like we're revisiting it, at the same time, it's not the same thing because this time what we're dealing with are a bunch of cowards. These are people who are relying on hateful sociopaths to do their dirty work for them. But now that they've unleashed Frankenstein's monster from the lab, they're terrified of the monster they've created. So those very insane, hateful constituents that are running around with guns and, semi-automatic rifles and everything else, looking for excuses to shoot people, that they thought that they could point in a direction and make them do the dirty work for them, they're just now realizing those guns point back at them too. And for a lot of folks, especially in these areas where they've got a lot of electoral college representation, but even less people, buddy, I don't know where you think you're going to go when your job is done here in Congress because you got to go home and everybody knows what you look like. They know what your name is. They know where you live. They'll find you. Where are you going to go? Y'all going to move to Mar-a-Lago with Trump? Think he's going to let you in? He'll let you be his roommate? I live in a small state, and I'm telling you, like, if any of our representatives or congressional representatives really screwed up this badly, like, we know who they are. They're not hard to find. And it's going to be the same way with the rest of them. So they've unleashed Frankenstein monster from the lab, and now they can't control the monster. Wow, sucks to be you. Karma, baby, karma, consequences, consequences. So stay strong, hang in there, keep the faith. Like I said, if you need to cry or scream, and I've done both today, try not to do it at other people. Get it out of your system and then pull yourself together and get right back out there and get on with things and reinforce the good relationships solid relationships that you have with other people of like-minded spirit. But always, always, always keep your eyes on the prize and where you're trying to go, not the obstacle immediately in front of you. Because just like riding a motorcycle, whatever you focus on is where you're headed. So we know there's obstacles and problems ahead, potholes and everything else, but we also know that it's the other side of that we need to get on. So keep your focus where it needs to be. Power to the people.